Reducing customers' encroachments is pretty important to SaskPower. If customers encroach on our facilities, they put themselves at risk.
We deal with it a lot. Are there problems that come up with it? Not super frequently, but when they do, they're a challenge because they've either damaged the SaskTel line or there's an issue where they're going to have to change the plan that they've made for whatever project they're doing, and that's pretty costly for the developer or the landowner.
Any alteration of a service in non-winter conditions starts at $700 plus GST, going up into the multiple thousands depending on how big of an issue it is and how much has to be moved.
The customer or the developer needs to be aware the easements that are going to be in place for new construction, understand setbacks from those easements, and to provide the Crown or the utility enough working space that we should be able to access them in the future. It's not just about getting it built today, but it's about maintaining it and being able to repair it in a timely fashion and a cost-efficient fashion for the future as well.
Probably the more common ones are fences, decks, garages, sheds, that sort of thing.
Trees being planted directly under power line within the right-of-way. New construction, basements are a common issue as well. A homeowner attaching a deck to one of our power poles. It was used as a base for a set of stairs. We should never attach anything besides SaskPower owned equipment to our power poles.
A shed is a common thing we see in people's backyards. People just put them up because they're not disturbing the ground when they're building them. So a lot of them, they won't get a locate, so they don't know where the utilities are. As long as it's not on top of a service connection or an underground fitting, sometimes we'll permit those. But if anything does happen and we need to access our lines underground, if that needs to be moved or destroyed or an alteration done, it's still on the cost of the homeowner or the customer for those repairs.
Those are the kind of things that come in most frequently, and then we would work with them to say, you know, if you want that there and we can move it, we'll absolutely move it as long as they're willing to pay the cost.
We've had a situation where a homeowner decided to install quite tall decorative flags on their property. Unfortunately, they placed them too close to the overhead power lines. One failed and fell over onto our overhead facility. Fortunately, no injuries occurred.
So another example is a newly built, very well done, decorated addition that was actually built right on top of our gas main in somebody's backyard. The issue with that is it's an enclosed structure with electricity and ignition sources in it. If there's any kind of underground leak, generally at a fitting, a service connection to our main, that gas usually migrates along the main or the service and can build up inside a structure. It can ignite and explode.
There was a contractor, landscaper, who was building fences in a new development. Unfortunately, locates weren't done. Hearing the story and the conversations, they felt that they were in an area that maybe wasn't going to create any damage to any sort of facilities. One of their augers did hit one of our cables, which ended up taking out service for about a dozen customers. It was difficult to find out what the actual issue was and where it was. Finally, when they narrowed it down to, there must be a cable cut, and we can see that there's been a contractor here building fences.
Knowing what is on your property and how those easements will affect your future plans is awfully important. You need to know where those utilities are running. The last thing you want to do is build over top of them. Nothing worse for a construction site than to have all your asphalt and pavement dug up and patched and all your grades ruined as we try to access our facilities.
With all of the information available online for contractors and for homeowners, just take that little bit of extra time to go through terms and conditions, planning your project, and if need be, making an appointment with one of our techs to come on site and discuss things with you in the pre-planning rather than doing it after the fact.
Key is getting locates. You can look at your title to see what might be there, but contacting the utilities and just asking the question about what might be there and how can you help is probably key. Part of our job, and we're very much willing to work with people on how to make sure that your project goes off.
Download the CCGA Best Practices Manual today. It has the latest in safe digging practices, including a section on what the colors mean. Get access via the Resources section of scga.ca today. Just a reminder, you must comply with provincial and federal regulations to ensure the safety and security of the public, as well as prevent damage to property and the environment.